In fact, I was having a little rant last night with my wife about somebody that was frustrating me, and I used the word "your stupid childish mind," and my daughter was behind me.
Mm.
And I love that I've got her to this place. She called me out on it. She goes, "I'm a child and I'm not stupid. Child's mind is not stupid." And I'm like, thank you so much for catching that for me, because that could have so easily gone unnoticed and she could have registered that. So I spent time talking to her about I didn't that was a bad way to phrase that, because you were smart and that is not what that meant. It has nothing to
Yeah.
do with you. I'm curious if you have had any experiences like that yourself, or how you mentioned you have kids, how you've raised your kids.
How long do we have to talk? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yes,
We
I
have a
have
good hour
experience.
available,
I
unless
mean, I have experiences like that on a daily basis. My kids are a little older now. They're not, at this point of this recording, they're 19 and 17. So I have one in college and one in high school. So whatever I did to screw them up, it's already in play. And now it's like time for the cleanup. You know,
yeah.
now it's time to see what damage I have done and played my own wounds out on them. I've attempted to do my best throughout the years, while being an entrepreneur, while being a husband, while being a single dad, raising children. So I've been very conscious. One of the most important things for me throughout my childhood, or excuse me, throughout my parenting life, is to help provide my children with a vocabulary of what they're feeling inside so that we can have discussions about it. So it's not just like dropping the hammer and punishing and consequences. It's more about I want to give them the freedom to understand who they are as themselves and have a connection to themselves, because that's what I do for a living. And that's been my path of growth. And I would say intellectual and spiritual evolution. So I've always been very diligent about creating a path for them to learn how to express themselves. And it's evident now, especially my older child. She's like extremely expressive, and not in like a off the wall sort of way. Like if she's feels like she's backed in a corner, she's like, "Hey, I don't feel good about this right now. Can we talk about it?" In the beginning, she was like screaming or crying, but she's learned how to harness it and turn it into communication, so that like she's becoming an adult, or and I would say an emotional adult, much quicker versus many people that I meet in my life span still to this point. No matter how old they are, if you don't address your childhood wounds and ways that you don't agree with how you were raised, then they exist and you become a child in a larger, hairier body, you know? So like that's really what I've seen a lot. So that's my goal as a parent. And then there's also the challenge of like being a parent and being a friend. Like I'm still a parent. Like that's the most important piece. So I've had to give up being friends, or quote unquote like having the relationship like that to um, feed the need of discipline and what's important that I feel is important for my child at that point.
um, I'm glad you keyed in on the expressing themselves. We've had quite a few episodes we've been recording here lately, and we had some great guests, and I keep turning over in my mind if there's a way that I can like simplify it, simplify it, simplify it. How do I get down to the core root of what makes somebody successful in any walk, no matter what type of business you're trying to run, the relationships you're trying to have. And I've got it as distilled as my brain can get it so far, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. But I think it is an advanced ability to communicate, and I want to put a caveat on the fact that we generally think, oh, you're just good at talking or whatever. But if you relate it to sales, you relate it to doing business, building a team, like you name it, the ability to accurately convey the information you want in a way that other people truly understand, I think is kind of the core element or skill set that you're really trying to harness or produce. It manifests in different way, like I said, sales, a team, relationships with your kids, your spouse, etc. What do you think about that?
Great topic. and hopefully this expands into even more, because I'm excited about this, and several things come up around this, and I think like one of the most common factors, and you can read this in many business books. The most successful entrepreneurs have high EQ. Many of them have high IQ, and they have high EQ, emotional quotient, meaning they can handle the emotion, they can handle COVID, they can handle the stock market crashing. We in Washington D.C., Maryland area in 2000, I forgot when it was, maybe like 2000, we had a sniper driving around, like literally sniping people out of his van, shooting people. This is and this is like I had to run from my office to lunch and sprint across a grass field because I was afraid of getting shot. So like how do you handle those things? But the key component, not just how do you convey a message, I think as a parent and as a leader, as a manager, how well do you listen?
Yeah.
In sales, you probably know this or have heard it, like whoever talks the most loses. Right? It's about asking powerful questions and then waiting for the answer. You know, when I first started really diving into myself, I have friends of mine that would be like, dude, you would ask a question and answer it for me. You know? So now I have trained myself to listen. And someone asked me this today in a group, what do you do? What do you do to be more present with somebody? And if I'm in a space where I'm either coaching or consulting or managing or leading, I ask a question. For those of you who are just listening, I put my hand over my mouth, not like this, but you know, in the thinker's position.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking, I'm listening. I'm leaning in. So it's that give and take. So I think my children have become better at expressing themselves because of my curiosity to listen and be truly empathic. Like, what are you feeling? Do I give a shit? Yeah, because you're my children. And this applies to romantic relationships as well. And same with work, right? It's not just about getting the product done.
Right.
Right? Like in a chiropractic office, like seeing patients, creating a great experience. Like that's your common job. But like, I can't forget about being human first. Like the person at the front desk, they may have had a really shitty day or week or weekend. Like, so being a leader and being happy to be seen and being empathic and seeking to understand people versus trying to get them to understand you, that applies to every single area, from sales to marketing to especially marketing. I mean, if you're just touting yourself, no one gives a shit.
Right.
People want to buy the sizzle, they don't want to buy the steak, right? So they want to know like what's in it for me. What is my song? Right. And that's how we market successfully, because we're putting ourselves truly empathically in the shoes of somebody else.